Hey guys, today I want to show you the pentagram of Venus and how the five-pointed star encodes the golden ratio, or phi, the value of 1.618. I'm also going to show you how the pentagram of Venus is related to Revelation 8:11, the wormwood star, and also how that's related to the founding of the United States. And I'm also going to show the Abraham Lincoln assassination was a ritual to Venus and the golden ratio as well. This is going to be a two-part video. There's just so much information to cover here, and really what I'm going to show you is only the tip of the iceberg. But the second part will have more golden ratio encoding in movies such as the James Bond franchise. But for now, we'll take a look at this five-pointed star. The longest line here, or chord, the intersections of the other chords of the star create the golden ratio. And if we look at the pentagram calculator here, we'll enter a value for the chord length. And we'll look at B and C, these two values. The 223.45 divided by the 138.1, that gives us our golden ratio, the 1.618. And no matter what value you have for the chord length, as long as you have an equilateral pentagram, these two measurements will always divide into the golden ratio. And also the spikes, or the isosceles triangles of the pentagram, form what's known as a golden triangle. There's multiple ways to measure the golden ratio in a pentagram. We're going to look at this important number from Venus. The average visual magnitude of Venus is minus 4.14. And I've shown you this number before, the 414. In the first video that I narrated, the Lincoln-Reagan-Trump 414 nuclear connection, this was all about the 414. And it's connected to Venus, the average visual magnitude. If we look at the Venus Wikipedia page here, that lists the planet's mean apparent magnitude is minus 4.14, with a standard deviation of 0.31. We'll be taking a look at this 31 as well. But Venus is the third brightest object in the sky, or the second brightest object in the night sky behind the moon. Venus is also known as the divine feminine. And if we look at the gematria value of divine feminine, I can get it spelled right here. Divine feminine sums to 138 in the ordinal cipher and 911 in the Jewish cipher. And what's interesting about this is if we look at the planet Venus on 9/11/2001, the events of 9/11, Venus just entered the 138 ecliptic longitude after midnight and was at 138 through the events of 9/11. So kind of an interesting correlation there with the divine feminine Venus and 9/11 with the gematria values. The other important 138 here is this Venus to Earth orbit ratio. Venus orbits the Sun 13 times for every 8 times that the Earth orbits the Sun. And from the geocentric perspective, from the Earth observer perspective, This ratio creates what's called the pentagram of Venus. The pentagram of Venus is the path that Venus makes as observed from Earth. Successive inferior conjunctions, and that's a conjunction with the Venus and the Sun, repeat very near a 13:8 ratio, shifting 144 degrees upon sequential inferior conjunctions. And this 144 degree shift is what creates our pentagram. And if we track the 5 orbital paths that form the pentagram, we get this symbol, which resembles a rose. And the mythological symbol of Venus is the rose. And I've also shown this to you before. The rose cross, the 261 hertz rose cross. 261 hertz is the note middle C. And the frequency on an itophone forms the rose cross, which is the symbol for the Rosicrucians. And the Rosicrucians, of course, borrow heavily, their belief system and knowledge borrows heavily from ancient Egypt. And the Great Pyramid itself, the dimensions approximate phi as well. Also, the rose with the cross is the seal of Martin Luther. And I can leave some links in the description if you want to read about the Rosicrucian rose, the symbol of the Rosicrucians. There's some interesting information on this website in regards to symbols. If we take 2 pentagrams and combine them, the inverted and the upright pentagram, we get what's called a 10-4 star decagram. And this is the inverted and upright pentagram. It's called a 10-4 star decagram. And there are all sorts of different geometric star polygons here. But the star decagram is interesting. And if we look at the date of 4/14, 4/14 is the 104th day of the year with 261 remaining. Of course, the 261 related to the middle C and the rose cross, and 4/14, the visual magnitude of Venus. Okay, we're going to look at the Revelation 8:11 Wormwood Star in the context of the founding of the United States, and then also in the context of this pentagram of Venus. Revelation 8:11 is about the falling wormwood star, and what I've found in my research is that this falling wormwood star doesn't necessarily pertain to one particular star all the time. Rituals could be to the wood star, Jupiter, or the morning star, Venus, or the dog star, Sirius. There are multiple ways to encode the wormwood star from Revelation 8:11. But if we take the 3 permutations of 8:11, they sum to 1110. And Revelation 8:11 is the 141st verse of Revelation. And the 3 permutations of 141 sum to 666. And if we combine those, we get 1776, which is the founding year of the United States. Now, if we start to track the pentagrams of Venus, the star points, the last star points before the founding date of the United States was on 10/24/1775, and 7/4/1776 was a total span of 8 months and 11 days after the previous star point formed by Venus and the Sun. So from the last star point to the founding date was a total span of 8 months, 11 days. And the United States was founded with 13 colonies, and the word star appears in 13 verses of Revelation. And the 13th time that we see star referenced, or the 13th verse, is Revelation 22:16. I, Jesus, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David, and the bright and morning star. And of course, the morning star is Venus. So if we look at the first star point of the first pentagram after the founding date of the United States, that was June 1st, 1777. And we can see here that Venus and the Sun are lined up for our first star point. So what I have here, I have the first 5 completed pentagrams. The first one being June 1st, 1777, and ending on October 21st, 1783. Here's number 6 through 17. And these highlighted dates are the Venus transits of the Sun, 18 through 28. And the last 2 completed pentagrams, the last or 30th pentagram completed was on August 15th, 2015. And that was also a year of the pentagram with a Venus transit. So if we look, Venus transited the Sun, or it was between the Earth and the Sun for our Venus transit, and that was part of our last pentagram, our 30th pentagram. So right now we are in the 31st pentagram. Beginning on March 25th, 2017, that began the 31st pentagram of the United States. And what's kind of interesting about that is that El, the name of God, the Hebrew name of God, El, sums to 31 in Hebrew gematria. El sums to 31 in the Hebrew cipher. And if we look at this 30th, completion of this 30th pentagram on August 15th, 2015, there's something else that's pretty interesting about that. If we add 1189 days to the last completed pentagram for the 1189 chapters in the Bible, that gets us to November 16th, 2018. And November 16th, 2018 was Donald Trump's 666th day as president. And that was also a day that Venus came out of retrograde motion. And what's interesting about this 11/16 date, being the 666th day, it's also encoded into the Trump Tower in Chicago. The 3 heights listed for the Trump Tower in Chicago are 1,388 to the tip of the tower, and that's our 138.8 meters for the height of the Great Pyramid without the capstone. It's 1,171 feet to the roof, which is our keystone or center chapter and verse of the Bible, and then 1,116 feet to the top floor, and that's the day, the 666th day as president, and the day Venus came out of retrograde motion. And when Venus comes out of retrograde motion, if we look at the orbital path in relation to this pentagram of Venus, the orbital retrogrades form these petals, these interior petals here. Also, what's interesting, if we look at the Masonic arch, We have the Cancer, or the 6-9, at the top of the Royal Masonic Arch. And if we track Venus on Donald Trump's 69th birthday, which was 6/14/2015, Venus was in Cancer, the Keystone constellation, same as it was for the 6-9 on top of the Royal Arch. Something else that's interesting with this graphic here, as you can see, there's 5 dates listed here for these pentagram points. And if we go and look at the website where I got that graphic from, earthsky.org, they talk all about the pentagram of Venus. But what's really interesting is that they just happen to have the last 5 dates for the 31st pentagram exactly listed on their website, starting on March 25th, 2017 through August 13th, 2023. The odds that they could get the last 5 of the 31st pentagrams of the United States just goes to show you that they know the program as well. So they also know about the pentagrams of Venus and tracking them. They're putting it right on their website here. But now we're going to take a look at the golden ratio that's hidden in the Lincoln assassination. If we go back here and look at the Venus Wikipedia page, we look at daylight apparitions of Venus, and it says historical daytime observation of the planet took place during the inauguration of the American President Abraham Lincoln in Washington, D.C. on March 4th, 1865. So supposedly on his inauguration, Venus was observable during the daytime. And if we look at the completion of the 11th pentagram, which was September 28th, 1863, from the completion of the 11th pentagram to his assassination on 4/14/1865, it was a total span of 1 year, 6 months, and 18 days, which is our golden ratio, 1.618. 9/28/1863 to 4/14/1865, total span of 1 year, 6 months, 18 days for our golden ratio and Venus ritual to the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. Okay guys, that's it for part 1. I have a lot to cover in part 2, and I'll try to get that out to you as soon as I can. We're going to talk more about Venus and the different positions of Venus in the sky coming up here, and how that relates to the golden ratio, and then also some other hidden symbolism with the golden ratio as well. Okay guys, thanks for watching.